Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It has been a hot minute since I have updated you guys on my journey through the insurance process for my lipedema treatment. My life has just been absolutely crazy and I haven't had the time to make a video, but I finally found the time, so I am going to sit down and chat with y'all today about everything that's been going on. So buckle up because it's going to be a long video today. If you have been following my journey for a while now, you know that from the beginning, even trying to submit my packet to insurance has been a pain. The rest of this process really hasn't been any different. If you have not watched my previous video, definitely go over there and watch that so you can see a little bit on, what was going on in that situation, because I don't want to get into that too far in this one. So essentially, after everything that happened, when I was trying to fax it over, we ended up mailing it, which was explained a little bit more in my last video. And I did certified mail so that they had to sign for it. It was supposed to be there, I believe it was the 21st or the 22nd of August. There was a little bit of a delay, so they did not get it until August 23rd. But they did sign for it on August 23rd. After looking at my benefit description packet that is specific for my insurance plan, it stated that for pre-certification, they had up to 15 days from the date they received it to give an answer on their decision. On September 7th, we still hadn't heard anything back, and it wasn't showing as processing in the system. So CoverLipedema told me to call the benefits department for my job, which is Amazon. I tried to call them and explain what was going on with them not wanting to accept my packet, and then the fact that they weren't processing it yet. So I did that, and my benefits department said that they don't help in situations like this, that they're not willing to do anything. So really the only thing they could do was get me connected with like a customer service agent for my insurance company, which went ahead and did that. Luckily the guy that I was connected with was super nice and he was very helpful. He started looking through all of it, and he stated that all of the documents had been scanned into their system, and that for some reason it had just been sitting there stagnant and had not been sent over to pre-certification yet. So he said that he was going to get a hold of whoever he needed to get a hold of to have them send all of that documentation over to the pre-certification department so that they could start processing my pre-certification. He also said that he was very impressed with the amount of documentation I had, and that he didn't feel like they would have to reach out to me to get any more documentation because I was so thorough in my packet, which was great. About a week later, on September 15th, my surgeon's office reached out to me and said that Aetna had faxed them and needed me to send over pictures with the skin on my stomach or the pannus area lifted. And they needed to be colored photos, and the only thing they left was a fax number. So if anybody's faxed before, you know that it doesn't send over in color. So we spent 2 days going back and forth trying to find out how to send those photos over. Actually, I think it was like a day and a half. But how to properly get those photos sent over to Aetna so that they could finish processing my pre-certification request. So I got those all sent over, and it was like in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I checked the portal for my insurance company, and it had stated that my pre-certification was denied. So at this point, I had reached out to CoverLipedema, and my surgeon's office because they also sent them a fax with like specifics. And then I did call and check in with Aetna just to make sure that that was accurate, or that my portal was reflecting accurately, and found out then that they had denied everything except for my abdomen, which anybody who's gone through this before knows that typically the abdomen is what you have issues getting covered. But I'm assuming that because of my weight loss surgery and the amount of skin that I have on my stomach already, that they approved that because I have enough skin to qualify to get that removed, at least in the front. After a while, I heard back from CoverLipedema. She essentially just said that, from what it sounds like, the person that did the review of my pre-certification did not know that Aetna does have language for lipedema in their policy. So they had denied everything except for my panelectomy on the grounds of it being cosmetic. Needless to say, I was very upset. I submitted so much documentation showing that this negatively affects me every single day of my life. Every one of my bases covered, and they just denied everything. Luckily, because it seemed to be like a lack of education type situation, CoverLipedema just reached out to my surgeon and asked them to do what they call a peer-to-peer with the medical director. Sorry, I cannot speak today. So they did that. I think it was performed on September 20th was the day that the peer-to-peer took place. So my surgeon just spoke with them, educated them a little bit about lipedema, and like specific to my case, you know, what was going on there, why I needed the surgery, stuff like that. My surgeon's office emailed me later that day and had told me that they had that and they were able to get my lower extremities and my full abdomen and everything approved, but that they did not state anything on approving the arms. This was kind of frustrating to me because I mean, my arms are one of the most painful areas that I have. They're the ones, you know, my arms are the most sensitive to touch. I'm covered in bruises all the time on my arms as well, things like that. But, you know, at least we were looking up. I didn't have to appeal for everything at that point, and I was able to at least get my full legs, hips, trunk area taken care of. But at this point, I had to reach out to CoverLipedema to see what the next steps were. And they had also stated that the medical director had said, since my surgeon is out of network, of course, that I was going to have to resubmit my out-of-network exception, which I actually did have included in my original pre-certification. So I'm assuming it got lost, or since it was originally all, you know, denied, that it just wasn't looked at any further. But yeah, so I reached out to CoverLipedema, you know, to see what our course of action was going to be. Hey guys, so I had to take a break from recording because I needed to go get my daughter from school, and then I'm tired. So if I'm off, that's why. My kids have just been really cranky today, all of the things, but I'm trying to knock this video out. So I had sent a message over to CoverLipedema to let them know that she got the lower extremities covered and that they still denied my arms. This was based on, like, they have 10 requirements for lipedema. They stated that I did not meet all the requirements in my arms. So I was letting her know that, asking what to do there, and then was letting her know about the network exception. So I received it was like a generic email from CoverLipedema.com stating that I was ready to upgrade to like the network exception or something like that, and that I needed to pay $500 to upgrade my account. And this honestly came as a surprise to me. When I joined before she had changed her prices and like what was included in her packages. And I know like now you have to, like, it's cheaper to join, but like you pay for add-ons like an appeal, things like that. But when I joined and I had my consult with her, she had told me that the initial $500 that I paid included the pre-certification process. It included the out-of-network exception and one appeal. And of course, like, I don't have this in writing because the consult was over the phone, but I know that's what she said, because I was really iffy on paying the $500 to sign up, especially because at that time, that $500 was not easy to come up with. And what made me feel better about paying for it and joining was the fact that it included that out-of-network exception and an appeal if I were to need it, because I knew that as far as those things, I had no clue what I was doing. Ended up getting a text from her, like a pretty long one, essentially just stating, going on about the different things that she's had to do for me, and me emailing her and stuff, asking questions, and then had said essentially that my case, like, they've never seen Aetna do this before, and my case is like a really different one, which, I mean, I agree. And that essentially I couldn't do it on my own without them, and that they had told me during the consult that they submit the form with the pre-certification, but it usually gets ignored, and that it's a lengthy process, and if I needed help with it, then I had to upgrade my account to for like the $500, which, I'm sorry, but she did not tell me that. It was said that the network exception was included in the price that I had paid. And then she said that as far as everything with my arms, that I was going to have to appeal for my arms, and that if I wanted their help with the appeal process, that it was going to be another $875. In no world can I afford this. I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty frustrating situation, because I was told all this was included in the original price, and then now she is stating that I have to pay another $500 for the exception and another $875 for an appeal. So I don't know. I know a lot of people have had success with her, that she has helped a lot of people get approved. I'm thankful for the things that she did do to try to help me, and for the checklist and stuff like that, helped me put together my packet. But I know what I was told, what she had told me originally, and even with all of that stuff aside, it still comes down to the fact that I do not have the money to pay for that. Everything that I have, which took a lot of work for me to get together, has to go towards my out-of-pocket maximum to actually pay for my surgeries. So, I had to make the choice to go out on my own and figure this out. So yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to start anything. I'm not trying to be super negative, but for me, it just didn't work out, and I have to go about this on my own. So the same day that I made this decision, I got an email from the receptionist at my surgeon's office, and had stated that when they received the approval letters from Aetna, that it had stated that Dr. Martin was in network with them, so it would be covered at an in-network benefit level. And after they had talked to Aetna about it, it was a glitch in their system. For some reason, they had Dr. Martin in their system as being in network with them. And she's not in network with anybody. So they were in the process of fixing that. And once they had everything updated in their system, they will send us like an updated approval letter that reflects that Dr. Martin is not in network. And at that point, I can submit the out of network exception request. They said that would take about 15 days to do, and it's been 17 days and we haven't heard anything back. Over that weekend, I had connected with another lady that is starting to do some advocacy for people with lipedema, like navigating the insurance process. So I reached out to her, and she's a really sweet lady. We've been talking quite a bit, and she's been very helpful as well. So I've been kind of working with her, and I also called Aetna because I had a couple of questions, and she was fantastic. She was pretty upset that I got denied in the first place. You know, she had looked at all of my paperwork and everything, and it was very thorough. She didn't understand why they felt I didn't meet the requirements, which was why one of the questions I had called to ask, I was asking if they could tell me which requirement in this list that I did not meet. And when she looked over all of the notes from the medical director, it did not have anything specific. It just said, this patient does not meet all the requirements, which I do. So she gave me some advice on how to appeal, like what to include in that. She gave me all the things, like, you know, where I need to send it to, the different IDs and things that I would need. And as far as the out-of-network exception, she said that it shouldn't be that difficult for me to get because there is legitimately nobody in network in Iowa. There's nobody in Iowa at all that treats lipedema. So, you know, there's no reason really that they would deny it. But we will see about that. And then she said she was crossing her fingers and toes and hoping and praying for me that, you know, I would be able to get my arms approved, because she could tell just from my packet that I need this treatment. So I spent the next couple of weeks working on my appeal. I kind of looked up different templates and stuff, like just to kind of give me something to go off of, but I wrote it completely by myself. I broke down all of the reasons, like the 10 requirements that they had, the reasons that I meet them, along with a lot of other things, and then went through and resubmitted a lot of what was already in my initial packet, a lot better pictures, like specific to my arms that really show the lipedema. And then my husband, who is, you know, works in corporate America, proofread it for me and made it sound even better. And then I got that all around and I faxed it into Aetna over the weekend, this past weekend. I called on Wednesday evening to check in on that. It went well this time. And they had said that it was received and processed into the system and that it was being reviewed and that for appeals, it can take like 30 to 60 days to hear back. Everything on my paperwork, like my specific paperwork, stated that they had 30 days. So I'm guessing for my plan specifically, they have up to 30 days to give me a response. I'm really hoping and praying that it goes through. I worked really hard on this appeal. I was very thorough. So I don't feel like there's any reason why they should deny it, but I also didn't feel that way the first time. But one thing that I've learned, I guess, through these past few weeks is you really do need to advocate for yourself. That is the one thing that the lady from Precertification said, was that she was very impressed with with me checking in, and everything that I was doing to advocate for myself, because a lot of people don't even go through the effort to do an appeal in the first place. So I'm really hoping all the hard work paid off with that. And now we are still just waiting to get those updated approval letters so that I can submit the out-of-network exception for the surgeries that have been approved. After talking with my surgeon and the other advocate, they agreed that we need to try to keep things moving. So, of course, submitting my appeal was very important, but they felt that I also needed to submit my out-of-network exception. That way, once that's approved, they can start working on the SCA with them and get me on the schedule and at least get started on my surgeries, because, honestly, we don't know how long it's going to take to get my arms approved and how long the process will be. So I have the entire letter and stuff written to turn in for the out-of-network exception as soon as we hear back from them. They said, like I said earlier, they said it would take up to 15 days. I believe today is day 16 or 17, and there's no update. And I know that the receptionist at my surgeon's office said that she had put on her calendar to call them in 3 weeks, like when we had originally talked about it. So that should be next week. I believe that they'll be calling to check in and see what's going on. So now we wait. That's one thing about this process, is that you really have to be patient, because there's a lot of waiting involved with all of this. And, I'm not a very patient person, and this has caused a lot of anxiety for me. But ultimately, we have to do this. I want to say that my situation is not typical, and I have been told this many times from different people, and it usually goes a lot smoother for a lot of people. Aetna's really pushing back right now for some reason. For some reason, they chose me to do it with. But I don't want my story to scare anybody away from going through this process and for fighting for coverage, with your insurance company. Because, like I said, my situation is not a typical case, and it is so important that we continue to fight these insurance companies for coverage for our lipedema treatment. If we don't keep pushing back and we don't keep fighting and showing them that we're not just going to sit down and shut up, I guess is the best way to put it, they're going to keep getting away with this. And we can't let it happen. We have to keep standing up. We have to keep fighting, even if it is difficult, even if you can afford to pay for it out of pocket. I know it seems easier to just pay for it, But if we don't do this now and keep showing them that we're not going anywhere, you know, it's never going to be easier for anybody else in the future. And when I'm going through this fight and I keep pushing through with all of this, it's because, well, number one, I'm in pain and I need relief of my pain. I want to feel better. I want to be a good mom and be able to run around with my kids. I want all of these things to better my life, but it's also because, as we know, this can be passed down. And I have a daughter, I'm going to have grandchildren one day. And I am hoping and praying that none of them got this gene and that none of them, do have lipedema in the future. But if they do, this is not a fight that I want them to have. So please don't let my story keep you from fighting for your health insurance coverage. Please fight. Stand up with us. I started this page and this community because we need to spread awareness about this, and we need support. And I love having this community to share my story with, to go through all of this with you guys. And sadly, it didn't turn out so far the way I wanted it to. I was really hoping that I was going to be able to post a video and tell you guys that this has all been super easy and it went really well. Unfortunately for me, that wasn't the case. I promised from my first video that I was just going to be honest with you guys about this entire journey. And even though my journey hasn't been so super easy, I think it's very important for people to see the different experiences of, people's journeys. Because for me, this has all been very stressful and blindsiding. It just blindsided me because there's not a lot out there. And what I have seen has been great things, which is amazing. But I haven't seen stories of people like me, and I think that's important, just to see all different walks of this, because regardless of this being a very difficult journey, no matter what, I know I'm going to get everything covered. I know regardless, my legs are being covered, my abdomen's being covered. I know that I'm getting help. I'm so thankful for you guys. I'm thankful to have you guys to go to just vent and talk to you guys about these situations. And I'm just really thankful for this community that I've built. And if you guys, I would love to hear your guys' experiences, whether it's good or bad, anything, because that's what this page is all about, for us to support one another. And yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys for being here. If you've stuck around till the very end, thank you, because I know this was a long video. I know the end of this is kind of all over the place because it is dark and I'm tired, but I appreciate you guys holding out till the end. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe, and I will continue to share my journey with you guys through this, and hopefully update a lot more often. I will see you guys in the next video.